Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now at this point on my channel, you've probably seen me cover well over 100 lighting products. With these, lighting products are one of the sort of most covered on my channel, and well, of all of them, one of my favorite all-time lighting products here in my hands, this is the Olight Warrior Mini 2. Which is so close to the perfect EDC flashlight. It is literally just an awesome, awesome flashlight. I love it. I still use this regularly. It finds its way into my pocket literally continuously. But here today, we may just be swapping that out. Well, we have the Olight Warrior Mini 3. And so what we're going to do, we're going to bust this out of the package. We're going to start getting this to use, charge it up, get some good quality beam shots, maybe just a little bit of a comparison against the Warrior Mini 2. But today, pretty much just a general overview of this light. And so when we get back, we're going to get into all of the details. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Olight who did provide this for review. And so as we get into this here, I'm going to have to expect that, generally speaking, the major upgrades on this are probably going to be the lumen output. Now, I don't know that for sure, and I'm not necessarily even saying that. I'm just going with my gut instinct. And on top of that, do I think the overall sort of programming is going to be the same? Probably pretty darn close. Now, right away, just at an initial glimpse, I can see that the form factor is going to be similar, yet a little bit different. But we'll wait until we get this out of the package for those specifics, which here, as we get into this, you can see little pull tab there. That's kind of cool. So changing up the packaging just a little bit, but that's simple. I like how they did that. Always a nice, clean presentation. They do a wonderful job. Their packaging is always just well thought through, very simple, but thought through. So the user's manual. Uh-oh, safety warning. Something must be going sideways for them. Probably heat and battery use. Keep in mind, and this may be important if you don't read instructions, which I typically don't, but this says when the flashlight is first activated in the high brightness, so the high turbo mode, and then the light output is blocked, the output brightness will not decrease. For instance, if you activate the high turbo mode first and then enter a rainy or foggy area to get close to a wall, the brightness will not decrease automatically. However, if the light output is blocked first and then the high turbo mode is activated, the output brightness will automatically decrease. For instance, if the flashlight is activated in high turbo mode in a closed environment such as a pocket or a bag, the brightness will automatically reduce to avoid burning the blockage or lens due to the high temperature generated by the highest brightness mode. So anyway, this feature is designed to provide safety without affecting the user's high turbo mode experience. So we'll pay attention to that. Now, again, the flashlight here coming out of the box, beautiful. I love the blue. I love the quality anodizing that Olight always does. They do a fantastic job. That's just a gorgeous look. Inside here, the charger. So here, your proprietary magnetized charger. And then, what is this exactly? This almost looks like a stand. So you could like mount the flashlight somewhere, because this does have a magnetized tail cap. So looks like they give you just like a little bracket so that you could like mount the flashlight somewhere. So a little like 3M dual-sided adhesive. They actually give you an extra piece, so you could probably, use this in a couple of different places or a couple different times. And then again, there you go. So that's kind of neat. I mean, just a subtle little touch, but I like it. Very nice. Just an interesting little thought from Olight. But as we get into the flashlight here, unthreading the head. So we're going to unthread this. You kind of just lean off the clip a little bit so it doesn't scratch on the knurling. Little bit of a protective film over the battery, and here inside the Olight 18650 3500 milliamp hour 3.6 volts. This does translate to 12.6 watt hours of overall power, and they do a fantastic job with their batteries. I've always had good luck with Olight batteries, never any real problems to think of. So very nicely done. Now I can again say I do already see some differences now between the version 3 and the version 2, but we'll get into this in a little more detail. Now, of course, at this point, this has not been fully charged, so I will need to charge this. Now, the first thing I can tell you is take a look at the clip. The clip is pretty much fixed in one position. So here you can see that the button is literally on the exact opposite side of the clip. So for me, I'm going to feel that clip, I'm going to index, and I'm going to get my thumb down and into place. The thing I can tell you already that I'm not going to like is the fact that this is, for me and the way I carry my light, stuck being a bezel up design. I like leveraging this full meat of the clip to hold the flashlight in my pocket. I like that it's rounded. I like that you can easily slide this in and out of your pocket. So this is the part of the clip that I typically get into my pants pocket, not this part of the clip, which you can do. I just don't personally do that. What I loved about the Warrior Mini 2, the fact that you could switch the clip around. So I actually took this part and, you know, that sort of key ring and popped it on there. I literally could have got rid of that altogether and never needed it. And I put the clip down at the bottom, which gave me a bezel down carry. And that was part of what I absolutely loved about this. I like a bezel down carry. I think you're less apt to actually pressing the button than when that's down and in your pocket. Granted, if you did accidentally press it in your pocket, you'd probably see the light, but not really a big deal to me. I am not necessarily a fan of the fact that this is forced to be a bezel up carry. I would much rather prefer swapping it around. And in fact, unfortunately, if you could just take off that tail cap and switch it with the head, that would do that, but you can't do that. And actually, now that I say it, this is fabricated right onto the head of the light itself. So right away for me, that is a miss, but that's just my personal preference and my likes. Side switch here, you can see, is now a little bit different than on the original. This was slightly different, a little bit raised, had a little bit of a bezel around it and a flat sort of plastic integrating into it, actually the light. So you're not going to see it there, but the light does illuminate at various times for various reasons, which does look like that's going to do this here. In fact, this button is considerably larger. So as you take a look at it there, considerably larger here on the 3. And again, just on the exact opposite side of that clip. So that's fine. Long pressing here between the different modes. You'll see here, low, medium, high, low, medium, high. And that's pretty good in terms of the button on the back. So again, you know, this is a multi-use and multi-button setup here. This on the tail cap, let's see, leaning into it, a half press, full press. So they're still going with the half press and then the full press, depending on what you're trying to do. So a half press momentary, so just leaning on it there, that's going to come in and should be either the low or a memory mode, and then depressing all the way. If you click it hard, it will go and lock it on. Or if you just lean into it and let go, that's that momentary press. So I love that about this. That is fantastic. In terms of the ability to tail stand, you're definitely able to do that with either light. And interestingly now that we look at these, the overall length is different. So much slimmer, or I should say just shorter and sleeker package from the 3 versus the 2. A little more low profile, which might be a good thing. Actually more aggressive on the knurling, much more texture. You can really feel that on your thumb. It's there on the 2, but it's more aggressive on the 3, which is going to aid in overall grip and purchase on the flashlight. I do like the bezel. You can see it's a little bit different here. So the head is certainly different. It's, again, tighter, smaller on the 3 versus the 2. And it looks like the lens is going to be a little bit different. Now, let's talk about the proximity switch. So again, putting this on the turbo mode and then getting down against something, well, that's what they're saying. So I entered the turbo first, which means now that's not going to really dim the light down. But if I enter like another mode first, like for example, we'll just, for the sake of the matter, put it on low. Now I'm gonna press turbo, and then I don't know. I don't really quite understand what they're saying about the proximity switch and how that's gonna work. So I'll need a little more experimentation. Going through the modes now, long press, that's gonna come on in the moonlight mode. You're barely gonna see it, but that moonlight mode is on. Moonlight mode being 0.5 lumens. This will run for approximately 100 days. Now a long press. Low mode, that's going to be 15 lumens. This should run for around 165 hours. Long press medium, that's 120 lumens. This should run for around 18 hours. Long press to high, that's going to be 500 lumens. This should run for around 215 minutes. Then it will dim down and it should run for around 30 more minutes, which they're saying at about 40% power. Leaning on the button on the back, that there is that turbo mode. So turbo, 1750 lumens. This will run for around 2 minutes in the turbo mode, and then it will dim down to around 29% for 210 minutes, and then down to about 11% for 30 minutes. So it will kind of dim down over time. Now, one thing I can tell you about the Warrior Mini 2 that had me like so close to this literally being perfect. Let's turn on the moonlight mode. So a long press there, that's now in moonlight. So what we're gonna do is turn off the light and then turn it back on. Well, it remembered the moonlight mode, which I don't think it needs to do that because the long press is a dedicated switch to turning on the moonlight mode. So why do I need memory to do that for me? I'll just long press and get into moonlight. Unfortunately for me, the Warrior Mini 3, well, it's doing the same thing. So I'm in moonlight, and if I turn the light off and back on, it's coming back into moonlight. I don't need it to do that. Long press is a dedicated switch for the moonlight mode. What I'd prefer is if I turn on the light, now into the low mode. Low mode for me is going to be my general navigation, my general getting around, looking for my keys, going up to the door, my ability to see the front door and the lock when I go into the house. What's that over there? Okay, beaming around. So I would much prefer to always come in on either the low, the medium, or the high as my memory mode. And that really gives me the benefit of the fact that at this point, turn off the light. Well, I should be able to turn the light on, and there's my low mode. Or, heaven forbid, I need to lean on that button. Boom, there's turbo. Boom, no problem. Now, that does turn off the light. I get that, but you also get the benefit of that half press and then the full press. So half press, no problem. Full press, no problem. That works out just fine for me. But what I would really love is the memory mode not to come on with the moonlight. I really don't need the moonlight to be part of that programming. So now I'm in the moonlight mode, turn the light off, turn it back on. It remembers moonlight. I don't need it to do that. I would much prefer, again, let's just say that came on in the low mode. So again, we'll long press into low. If it did that, I would get the benefit of first, long press into the moonlight, single press into low, half press into high, full press into turbo. And at that point, I would really get the benefit of 4 different modes with really no need to switch the modes at all. Now, one last thing to consider, you do have your strobe. So triple press the side switch. That's going to be the strobe. Single press, and that's back off. And then you should be able to lock out the light. So long press. There you go. So past that moonlight mode, at this point, the light is fully locked out. And then to get back into it, long pressing, we're back in. So very simple, all things considered. The operation, pretty straightforward. I just think they got the programming a little bit off for my personal liking and my personal opinion, and the fact that this, for me, will be a dedicated bezel up flashlight. I'm not the biggest fan, but at this point, we're going to get this fully charged, and then we'll get outside for some beam shots. And so now as we get outside for the beam shots, as I long press here, this is that moonlight mode. So not enough light to beam off into the distance, but more than enough light to read up close. You can see trying to beam off into the distance, can't really see much, but if I long press here, that's going to go into the low mode. Now the low mode, again, you're not going to see too much. On the left hand side against my house, you're going to see a little bit of light there. On the right hand side against my fence, you're going to see a little bit of light there. Now my dog's off on the porch here. If I long press, well, that's going to be the medium. Come here. Come on. She's up there causing trouble. So beaming up onto the deck there, that's that medium mode. Now you can see this does go all the way out to the fence line, illuminating nice in between. This is a great general overall light for general duties, the ability to look around, see what's going on. If there was anything in my yard, I would certainly be able to tell. You can see it is starting to define that hot spot in the middle. You can see this is starting to define that hot spot in the middle, and it has some flood off to the sides. Another long press, that's going to be that high mode, a good amount of light beaming off nicely. This is more than enough light, and you actually get some pretty good run times with this particular flashlight. So even in the high mode, doing pretty good in terms of your ability to get a good sustained battery life. Now that hot spot, very nice. It's not overly bright, but bright enough that it's doing a real nice job to illuminate everything wonderfully. That spill off to the side, great overall spill. So a good combination between a flood and a throw. Again, long press, it's going to drop back down. Now as I get onto the tail switch, I'm going to half press. Half press here goes into that medium mode, but if you need that full blast, a full depression, that's that turbo, lighting everything up. A nice cone of light. Beautiful amount of light. I can feel the body of the flashlight warming up now, so it will get hot and it'll certainly drain the battery, but that's a nice blast of light. And then again, as I lean back off of the button, halfway down, that's that medium mode. So very, very nice. And of course, a triple press. That's that tactical strobe. Press the button again, off. So now real quick against my fence, as I long press. Here you can see that is that moonlight mode. There is a generalized hot spot in the middle and not too much in the way of flood. Long press. This is going to be that low mode, starting to really get a good amount of light for general navigation. Now you see the hot spot and the flood off to the sides. Long press, medium, really starting to light things up. This is a good general overall capable mode with a great battery life and overall run times. Long press, high, we're really starting to light things up. This is going to be a good overall throw, and it's definitely going to give you more than enough light for most situations. As we turn off the light and then long press the tail cap all the way in, that's that turbo. Full blast of light, way more than enough, a good amount of light to light everything up. And of course, if we triple press, that's going to be that tactical strobe and off. And so, alright guys, there you have it. A look at the Olight Warrior Mini 3. All in all, a beautiful flashlight. Now, in all seriousness, I do give them a little bit of a hard time about the programming. Putting that moonlight mode in the middle of the memory, in my opinion, does not make much sense when you have its own dedicated long press to get into it. And then, of course, the fact that when you can really get on that tail switch, half press to get into the medium, full press to get into the turbo, you end up kind of with the benefit of a few different modes at simple press, with the idea being, of course, at that point, if you could just single press on that side switch and at that point have it dialed into the low or to the high, at that point you kind of get the benefit of all worlds with very simple pressing. No, pressing between modes and whatever. So these lights are so close to perfect. I absolutely love the form factor, the fit in the hands, the overall size, the general performance, the output to battery life also fantastic with this light. It's an absolute beautiful flashlight. I do very much like the way they've come around with this particular version of the magnetized tail cap. I do think it works very well. The button works very well. It's tactile, it feels nice, and it just functions well. The only other thing that I would say is, this is a bezel up carry, which for me is okay. I do, again, prefer bezel down, but not too big of a deal. And so all in all, a great offering from Olight. So I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Olight who did provide this for review. And if you like what you see here, do me a favor, take a look at the description box below where you can get some of the links and details. And if you like this content, do me a favor. Take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearm side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.